I can't tell the story is hilarious or heartbreaking. I think you'll decide. There's a pastor in Colorado that has scammed his congregation out of $3.2 million. No, it's a heartwarming story. It was all for crypto. He made a coin. And he passed it off to his congregation, saying that the Lord wanted to bless them. And then they invested. And then he's now been caught and is being charged with fraud. And he pocketed 1.3 million of the 3.2 million. And so he came out and he made a video. And in the apology video, he is very honest. He's like, listen, the Lord spoke to my wife and I and said to, make this coin and everything. And I even said to God, I like how he acts like God is a guy, just like, and that he's a guy that he can't get on the phone right now, but was talking wild a couple of weeks ago. And so it's like, and then look, I was even asking God, because I'm not even omniscient like God is. I'm not over here like God. And I even asked God, I was like, where's the liquidity going to come from? And honestly, if your pastor ever says liquidity to you, that should be the first sign to run. Run as fast as you can, as far away as possible. And so he's like, I even asked God, where's the liquidity gonna come from? And God said, trust me. And so then I immediately told you it would be fine. That's my bad. I want you to know, out of that 1.3 million that my wife and I pocketed, 500,000 went to the IRS, which is a meaningless detail, by the way. Like, yes, you paid your taxes, but that's just a weird thing that the pastor did to be like, hey, look, while we're being honest, I got fucked too, okay? IRS really get everybody, don't they? It's like, as much as we hate the IRS, you're not gonna flip this around on them right now. And then he got caught and he's like, yes, we did spend it on some trips and a home renovation that the Lord told us to do. And I'm starting to think that Lord is just some guy's last name to him. Just a Marcus Lord that does a lot of cocaine. It's like, I got a new coin. You should tell your peeps, you should get them in on it. Because I've read a good portion of the Bible, and I don't know. No, like, I'm not saying I'm smarter than everyone that was in the congregation. I'm expressly not saying that. Like, but it is a thing where it's like, if you read the Bible, what he's saying will be weird. You know what I mean? Like, if you read the Bible and you have a general understanding of it, when a guy comes to you and he's like, listen, the Lord about them gains, okay? I think it makes it easier for you to be like, oh, I think this guy is full of shit. Thank you. But that's a scary thing, though, is that, like, there's a blurred line now, blurred almost to the point of being indistinguishable between, like, pastors and influencers. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a pastor used to be, at least where I come from, a pastor used to at least be poor. You know what I mean? When a pastor is poor, they're very easy to believe. Because you see how poor they are, and they're like, oh, you really about that life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like a poor pastor is like it's like a gang member that has been shot a few times, where you can see the lumps. And you're like, oh, you're really dangerous, okay. A pastor that's poor makes a more convincing argument. Because even when you try to check their work, you're like, if nothing else, even if they are absolutely out of their mind, they at least believe this because they're willing to dedicate their whole life to, and to it exactly, to it only, right? To whatever mission they feel like God has led them to. They're willing to focus solely on that to the point of being completely removed from the world, right? So any worldly thing doesn't affect them. They have no interest in it. They're only focused on whatever the thing is. Maybe it's helping people. Maybe it's spreading the word. Maybe it's knocking on doors at 6 a.m. or whatever they feel led to do. And then a rich pastor tells, like a rich pastor has a more alluring argument. Because a rich pastor rolls up in a Rolls Royce in a $10,000 suit with a $200,000 watch and a pinky ring. Like, the amount of pastors dressing like pimps needs to be talked about. You know what I mean? It's like there's too many wires crossing with, like, I'll see a pastor dressed fully like Don Bishop Juan, and I'll be like, oh, yes, you are pimping your congregation. Yes, I get it. Wow. And in their faces too, you're brazen with it because you dress rich in front of them and they're poor to make you rich. And wow, that is ballsy. Maybe you do have God's protection. That's crazy that you're going to do that in their face. And then you tell them what you buy. If you see these televangelists, they tell the people what they bought with the money that they said was going to missions and to, because when the plate is getting passed around, it's so that we can help the poor and that we can spread the word and that we can, sort of build up the church to have things for you as a community. One of the only reasons to have church is for a community. It doesn't even have to be fully like-minded people. It could just be people that you feel like safe and in communion with. And so, yes, sometimes everybody pulls their money together and then they're like, what would be great is a rec center for the kids. And then a church will put all their money into building a building that could be a rec center for the kids so that they don't get in trouble. There are lots of things and ways that churches spend money that I do think are good. And so when I see like a mega church's facilities, I'm not immediately skeptical. It's when I see the person and he's dressed so much like a pimp. Like, I cannot stress this enough. It is full pimp outfit. Like, it's to the point of tacky. Like, we're not even talking about just because he has a suit. I'm talking about he has like, they are all stopping short of a cane. Like, they're millionaires in your face, and they're telling you, I have all this stuff because, because God blessed me with this jet. I purchased this jet for the Lord so I could fly from place to place quicker, spreading the message. And I would even believe that if we didn't have Zoom. If Zoom was not a thing, I would get a pastor being like, I have to get over there to spread the word as quickly as possible. They don't know. They have no idea. And it's not like we can send them a telegram or something. It's not like there's been iterations of communication for decades that would negate me buying a jet to fly it to, I'm not going to tell you where. Like, how did we get here? And look, it is probably, it's probably an easy thing to have happen. It is. It's probably, I think that I'm trying to be gracious for a second. I really am. I'm trying to extend an olive branch for a second and just, no, just hear me out. I do think that there's something that speaks to these pastors, but I think what has happened is that they have mistaken God for their intrusive thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know all of you. I don't know, exactly what your lives are like. I don't know if you grew up with religious or not, or what religion or anything. I'm just saying, as individuals, every single one of us here, if we were to lead a congregation and we were to pass around a jar or a plate, collection plate, anything like that, and everybody gave something because we made a compelling case that it is your job as a citizen of the world to help people that you may never meet, right? Is your actual duty as a living, breathing, empathetic individual that you have to do something. If someone somewhere is hurting, you don't need to know them and you don't need to know why they got there. That's none of your business. It's important to help someone. And then the plate gets passed around and you make such a compelling argument that everybody puts, $1, $5, $10, or like the Bible says, a tenth of their income to help the poor. And then church is over. Everybody leaves. And then you go to the back office where they have piled up all the money, and you do look at it and go, nigga, we rich. I mean, wow. Oh, we really cooking right now. Oh, man, I get the pinky with the soup. Oh. I'm not going to get the cane. That's too much, but oh. Just looking at a pile of money, a pile of envelopes with a tenth of someone's paycheck in order for them to either spread the word of God or help people that they will never meet, build a well, do something so it matters that we were here, right? And then you see the money and it's stacked pretty high because it's a big church. And you look at all that money and it's hard not to be like, game time? No, that's a tough thing. A friend said to me today, because I was telling him about the story, and he said to me that if churches did what they were supposed to do, we might not have much homelessness. You know what I mean? Like if churches were really about it, in a compelling way, in a way that was genuinely uncomfortable. In a way that was like, I'm gonna tell you a story, and you're gonna judge me, but it's fine. I was at a theater when I first moved to Chicago. And when I first moved to Chicago, I didn't have any money, right? And I especially did not have much to spare, but I was at a show, and I was at that show because it was free. So it was a free midnight show that I loved so much. I made sure to go there every Thursday night because I knew it was a free show. I could do something. I could meet other comics. I could, learn by watching them and everything, because everyone on the show was incredibly funny. It's actually a sketch show, ironically enough. And there was a person that came in, and she came in and she clearly had nothing, right? Her clothes were torn and everything. Her hair was a little messed up and she had a little bit of a limp. And she was asking people for change. And you got to remember, this is like a kind of swanky place. Like it has a little bit of that underground grunge feel to it, but it's also like a nice place with a nice bar and everything. And so everybody was like, no, 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 no. And everyone was varying degrees of like just ignoring, politely saying no, being aggressive, get out of here sort of thing. And then someone came and they asked her to leave, right? And so I see all that happen. I'm sort of sitting in the back towards where the showroom is. And then this was all happening towards the front. She didn't get far in. I watch the show. And I'll be honest, I didn't really think about her while I was watching the show. I was thinking about what an incredible show this was, how thankful I was that it was free and everything. And then the show lets out. And I guess because a couple hours had passed, she gave it another try. So she came in, she was asking people for change. And once again, it was varying degrees of not looking at her, asking her to leave them alone and everything, politely saying no. And so then I had about like $3 in my pocket. And so I saw her the second time, and I felt so bad about how the first time went and that I didn't do anything, that I went ahead and I gave her the $3. And when I gave her the $3, she took it and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, thank you so much." And then she jumped and hugged me tight. And what should have been a sweet moment was mainly just me being like, "Oh my God, oh 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 my God, oh, 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 oh." And then she walked off, happy as could be, walked out of the venue. And then I was like, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands, I gotta wash my hands. And I think that, I look back at that and I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of how I reacted or anything, but that does feel like what church should feel like. Like, instead of just being boring, it should be like, "Oh my God. Oh, wow. Everybody really is welcome. Oh, jeez. All right, cool." I don't know if y'all saw where Walmart had to issue a recall in several states because their Great Value, which is the name of the brand that Walmart makes, their Great Value shrimp was found to have radioactive isotopes in it. Whatever happened to like regular nasty? You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You ever had a chip before and been like, this chip a little stale? When we were growing up, the chips would be stale. The date will have expired. They didn't rotate the inventory. And so now you weren't looking either. So then you bought it, you brought it home, you dipped it into the sauce, the knockoff sauce. And then you went to take a bite, and then the bite was not bitten. The chip was so strong, you just scraped back sauce straight into your mouth. Because the chip was powerful, the chip petrified, because it's been stale. And you're like, maybe that was a fluke, all these chips in the bag, different ages, shapes, and sizes. So let me try another chip. And then because you don't want to chip a tooth, you decide to break this one with your fingers. And you can't because the entire bag is stale. Remember stale? I never thought I would miss regular stale. Now, food here in America is radioactive. I'm not gonna act like I know why it's radioactive. I don't know why it's radioactive. But it's radioactive because they say it's radioactive. I'm not gonna blame it on the shrimp. What were we doing near the shrimp that was radioactive? We act like radioactivity is like easy to come by. It's not. There's obviously radio waves everywhere. You use a radio, you use a microwave and so, but real radioactivity that sticks with you. And that's the thing too, is that these suppliers, they supply all these different stores, and sometimes by the time it gets to you, it's just a different label that's put on it. But it's from the same place, and it's the same people doing the same stuff. And Walmart's, brand is Great Value. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this may make me sound pretty bougie, but I don't really like the, store's brand. I don't know, I just don't believe them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't think you do this well. It's
It's like when you go to a diner and it's like got 96 pages on the menu, but it's not a Cheesecake Factory. So you're like, nah, only one establishment so far has been able to pull off this many pages. There's no way y'all have that much in the back. It's not possible. I drove around to park. I know that the kitchen can't be that big. How you gonna have lobster and quesadillas and you got burgers and fries, but you also have tres leches, but then you also have pad thai? Like at a certain point, y'all just making stuff up back there. Like, you got sticky rice, sushi rice, white rice, brown rice, mango sticky rice, paella. Like at its... Either the chef back there is the most talented individual that has ever lived. Either something is going on right now and we're all a part of someone's YouTube prank show and Gordon Ramsay is back there just waiting for us to tear up our stomachs by ordering things that aren't even on the same page. When you go to a diner like that, by the way, stick to one page. Because whatever you get, I treat diner food and diner food with lots of variety, because you know when they go back there and you order the lobster pasta, they got one lobster. Like they about to have to scratch out that thing on the menu. But I feel like if you stick to one page, it's a lot like sticking to one type of alcohol. If you go full breakfast with it, you're gonna get a regular amount of sick. Hear me out, because all across America, you got these diners that got 87 pages to them, and then you're like, oh, it's too many choices, what do I do? One thing. You find one lane and you drive down it. Do you understand me? I don't want to see you go French toast and pad see ew. Y'all laughing, but people are out here wild. I went to a diner with some friends, one of these diners I'm telling you about, and it had, so on their menu, I'm not exaggerating, on their menu, they had 26 pages with pictures. Now the pictures were obviously stolen from online. They did not take any of these pictures. They hit Google Images and they printed it out and they put it next to the ... lobster pasta, right? And the other thing that, look, this is an aside thing. This actually has nothing to do with anything, but also on the menu, they had numbered everything. Like they had numbered every order. Like, you know, like when you go to like a restaurant and they'll have the traditional pronunciation of the dish and then they have the number. They did that, but everything was in English. And so you could just order 102 and a number 5 together. And it's like, that sounds like it'll tear up your stomach just as much as saying, can I have the Tom Kha? Can I have the Tom Kha and the baby back ribs? But my friend was over here like, oh, it's too many choices. You can do so much. You could do barbecue. You could do Chinese. You could do, this is amazing. And I was like, no, it's the only thing open. And I warned him. I was like, you need to pick one. I'm telling you right now, you better pick one. Okay? One page, go right down that page, because I bet you they do that page very well. I bet you if you pick a lane in this diner right now and you're like, hey, the whole table, we just gonna do Mexican food. We're gonna get some tacos, quesadillas. You already got the meat back there, just chop it up to it. You know what I mean? I think it'll be fine. But if you start hitting them with the around the world special, which is what one of the pages was called, I think they're going to give you the food. I think you're going to enjoy it. I also think you're going to get an otherworldly type of sick. But no, he knew better. He didn't listen to me. This man got baby back ribs, spaghetti and meatballs, spaghetti and meatballs, and a matzo ball soup. Now, you know how they say that sometimes when you're driving down the highway, and there's like a natural instinct to watch the wreckage of a car accident as you pass by. That was every plate they brought to him. I kept watching him this man was taking bites of baby back ribs and then sips of soup and everything. And I was like, I don't know how you feel like this is a good idea. I got 3 scrambled eggs. And I made sure to order before he could finish ordering, because I was like, keep me separate from him. I know that a bunch of sauce is going to be sloshing together. And sure enough, we leave. We get in the car. We drive for an hour. And then out of nowhere, we hear our friend who's driving go, ooh. This is why I got so mad, because I knew we had 4 more hours of driving to do, and I knew for a fact that his bad decisions would affect me. I didn't know when, I didn't know exactly how, but I knew this would happen. So he goes, ooh. And it was low, it was quiet, it was to himself, but it did cut through the music. Go, oh, And so then, look, I try not to be that friend. I try not to be the I told you so person, but I go, what? What is it? And he's like, oof, I knew he was in a bad way. He didn't want to answer me because he knew it was going to be an I told you so moment, because I did tell him so, and then I watched him eat for 42 minutes. I watched him eat stuff that I know had to be old. When do people get baby back ribs at this abandoned diner? I'm sure the cook in the back was like, what does he want? Ask him, is he sure? Ask him, is he sure? You're not gonna put somebody's death on me. I'm not gonna catch a body. He's sitting there, ooh. And I'm like, what? And he doesn't want to answer me. But I knew he was hot. I knew this is how bad off he was. Any cuisine that you eat, anything that you eat, especially when you eat a lot of it, especially when it is good, when you got something authentic, or you just got something that was seasoned right, and you eat too much of it, it has a different impression on you. It always does. Different impression. You get some good barbecue, but you eat a little bit too much of it, you get those meat sweats. You don't even know what's happening. Meat sweats are the closest I think they're the closest it'll ever come to a hot flash, because they don't even know what's happening to their body. They're just like, You ever be so hot that you blinking extra? Like all the cool air is over there. If you could just see it clearly, it would cool you down. You ever get so hot you sweat in your own eye? Over here, And then, there's other foods that just sit heavy. You eat too much of them and they let you know, hey, will never leave you. And then there's some foods that, because of the cuisine, there's a little bit extra spice in it, makes you throw a little hot, makes you burp, and just gives you a little heartburn if you overdo it. He had all three. This man was sitting there with a hot rock in his stomach. You know those stoves they put on people when they do the massage or they warm it up? He had three of those in his stomach, just holding it. Ooh, and I could tell this man started breathing heavy and everything. And when he brought the window down, I knew he was in trouble. I turned to our friends in the back. I was like, hey, somebody else gonna need a drive soon. Over here sweating hard, blinking hard. And I'm literally almost been knocked out. Out of concern for my friend, I've almost been knocked out of I told you so, but not yet. I go, what? And he goes, I think I'm gonna wreck the car. What an insane jump. He doesn't go, I need to stop, let me pull over, I don't feel so good. This man ate off so many menus, he's like, I'm gonna kill all of y'all. I'm gonna flip this car as hard as I can until it lands right side up. And everybody in it dead. And then this man did something that to this day I have not forgiven him for. You've had it happen to you. We've all, every one of us, fallen prey to an act that, while human, needs to be corrected beyond measure. If violence were to break out after this action, I don't know if I could hold the party responsible. Because this man who just said he's about to wreck the car leaned his head out the window, tried to get some cool air on his face. And when he leaned out the window, he thought he was slick. He wasn't sick. When he leaned out the window, he went. Just from the hip placement, you know what's happening. Just from this right here. Just that little pivot. Like a dog. Like a dog near a tree. This man leans over. You know what's terrifying? You know what shook me to my core? I heard nothing. I didn't hear a sound. Genuinely, when I didn't hear anything, I thought I couldn't hear. Literally, the way that this man cocked his hip, and then I heard imagine if you saw a nuclear explosion, but then there was no boom after you, I guess I'm already gone then? I must have died so fast I didn't notice. This must be how they make ghosts. This man cocked his hip. I heard nothing. I heard nothing at all until I heard my friend in the back go, oh! Look, I'm not gonna act like I know how, like there's a difference in the air in the car because he's opened the window and the air conditioner was blowing. It was all blowing on him. He was very hot. But I'm not gonna act like I understand why what happened went backwards first. All I know is I hear my friend go, and then my buddy next to him goes, like when you begin to choke. You know, like right before somebody need that Heimlich, before they're like I don't know why. It went backwards first. All I know is that when it hit me, my first instinct was to scream. But I held back. I held back because screaming would open my mouth. So I went like a silent movie at a 1920s sanitarium, all right? And I'm fighting to find the button for the window. I can't find it because not only am I trying to lean away, I have closed my eyes because they started to burn. And so I'm palming the door and I'm like, I palm the door and I don't find I don't find the button to lower the window, but I do bang my head against the glass like Night at the Roxbury. And finally I feel something, and out of desperation, I just flick it, and that opens the door. The door is open, and I'm leaning out, holding the door like... And I feel like, look, I'm wearing my seatbelt. You gotta wear your seatbelt, but I do feel like I've already fallen out of the car because the sound of my friend screaming is getting fainter. It started out, oh, and now is, oh. We in the same car, why he getting further away? And then our friend driving both saved and ruined my life because he pulled me back. I slammed the door, and now we're all just inside. With him. And I gotta be honest with you, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, when he pulled me back in, I wished he had just flipped the car. I wish he had just wrecked the whole thing. But yeah, it's just... You already do your best when it comes to food. You already eat what you think is healthy, you already try. And so when you got these programs that make sure that the food is good and you end up with great value radioactive shrimp. It's absolutely unacceptable. All I'm saying is, I don't always trust the brand that the store has because I'm like, y'all don't do this too. There's no way. I believe you do napkins, CVS. I believe y'all's napkin game is probably y'all got the same printer and everything. Y'all got the same little bumps on the napkin. I'm with you. Once it gets to soups, I think that y'all are just guessing. If I go into Walgreens, already I'm there for drugs. I'm there because my nose is running or something like that, or I just want a bottle of water. The idea that Walgreens specifically is like, we make pasta too. Do you though? Like, it's just... That's always been unsettling, that like a place that's not, like this is just me, maybe I'm being bougie, but I want my sauce to come from a place that's like, we make sauce. That's like our whole thing. As Ragu, we love making sauce. We don't like anything solid around. So then when you go to a store and you see next to the ragu is either your local store or this chain being like, we make sauce too, and it's just like that sauce. It's like, I know that it's cheaper, and I know I'm gonna buy it because it's cheaper, but I'm gonna think about how it's not ragu while I'm eating it. I used to work at a store that, this was an insane experience, but I worked at a store where we didn't know we knew what we sold as a base, but then there would be deals that would come in, and I don't know who was doing these deals like out in the world, but then we get a whole shipment of stuff we had to try to sell until it was gone, hopefully. There's no way to run a business, but I remember there was one week we just got a whole shipment of fire extinguishers. And to be fair, a lot of people don't have a fire extinguisher, and a lot of people live in conditions where they should absolutely have a fire extinguisher. Sure, I'm with you there, right? But these fire extinguishers were the size of like a big gulp. You know what I mean? Like these were like mini fire extinguishers that I don't even think could put out a hot shower. We also had to sell, this one time, we just got toilet seats. And it occurred to me at one point, I was like, who shops here? Like sometimes I'd see customers in there and I'm like, you just know you need stuff and then you hope stuff is out there. Like, the idea that we got a shipment of toilet seats off of nothing, and then someone came in and was like, that's just what I did. It's like that, it does make you believe in like the law of attraction, I suppose, but like, doesn't seem like a great business model. One of the wildest things we sold at that store was was condoms. But they were like store brand condoms. Do you know how much you're taking your lives into your hands? We've established condoms. You don't need a great value condom. A great value condom is how you end up with another great value customer. Oh. No, it's insane. And then when you have these radioactive shrimp, right? Talking about it like I'm familiar, but when you have radioactive shrimp, what the stores will do is they'll obviously pull everything off the shelf, and then they will go ahead and put up a note, usually on the cash register. That way, they've already pulled their inventory, but if anybody bought some last week, yesterday, whatever, they could read that. It helps spread the word, you know? And then one precaution that a lot of places take is they will print out the SKU, which is like that universal number for the product, a picture of the product, and then a little paragraph explanation of what happened. And then sometimes, depending on the store, they will put that at the cashier's register so that people can read it while they're checking out. So that way, if they already bought the shrimp and took it home, they'll know to throw it away. Because the paragraph will say something to the effect of like, if you bought our product, whatever, radioactive shrimp, and you have it at home right now, please throw it away because we found that this product was not up to our quality standard. We apologize that it was ever on the shelf and that it is radioactive. Thank you for your attention to this matter and being a loyal customer. But that paragraph doesn't have the urgency that goes along with radioactive shrimp. Even the announcement, even the news didn't have the correct. It's radioactive shrimp. They didn't have the correct response for radioactive shrimp. To me, maybe I'm crazy. I need somebody to be walking up and down the aisle. The shrimp radioactive. You need someone with some urgency. This printout is not doing it. And they know what they're doing because the toner, the ink on the printer not even good. So you barely see the image and then the letters are faded. So you're trying to read it and it's like a whisper. It's like reading a whisper in real time where they're like, hey, something with the shrimp. It's radioactive. No. We have so many people in this country looking for work, unemployed. Hire someone to be the person who announces what's been recalled. Walking up and down the store. I hope you didn't get the shrimp last week because the shrimp radioactive. You can hear that shrimp. That shrimp go. Oh, watch out, the shrimp is... I had one. I ate one just to make sure, and one of my eyes turned blue. No, you gotta get up in there. You gotta do something more than just a printout that I'm probably not gonna see because admittedly, I'm looking at the Skittles. You need a person in there walking up and down the aisle. You might even ask for an item that's been recalled because you didn't hear the news. Sometimes that happens with vegetables even. Sometimes the spinach or the romaine will get recalled just because of what they've been exposed to. And you need a person to be walking up and down the produce aisle sorry, we don't have the spinach. It had that E. coli. It had... What's the E for? He had E. coli all over him, so we had to send him back. Perhaps you'll enjoy some arugula. They don't just scream, they're also helpful. I don't like to think of myself as a bigot, but when it comes to milk, I am pretty intolerant. I have a problem with milk being in my things. If I even hear milk is in a dish, I'm like, get them out of here. Sometimes there'll be milk and stuff that milk isn't normally in, and that's when I sound bad. I'm like, they not even supposed to be here. They as in the cultures in the milk. I've been watching this thing happen. They say that they're going to make America healthy again, but then they're like, oh, but you could just do a bunch of wild stuff you weren't doing before that definitely runs the risk of making you sick. Do you ever be? There are people that are like, I want to drink my raw milk. Why can't I drink my raw milk? And it's like, okay. If just you drink the milk, I think that's fine. Genuinely, if somebody wants to drink raw milk and they're drinking raw milk and they're like, dude, this is what I want, like that to me is not bad. That to me is how it should be. You want the raw milk, you drink that. It's when we like normalize the buying and selling of raw milk that we start to spread the power of raw milk to tear up your life. You think you lactose intolerant, get some of that raw milk in you. That raw milk will get in your stomach and be like, this is nice, yeah. Be like Van Halen in a hotel room, you know what I mean? Now you sitting there. Everybody told you not to drink the raw milk. They told you couldn't handle it. You're like, I'm going to handle it. Natural is the best way. I'm going to have my raw milk. And then 30 minutes later, oh. I'm sitting next to you. What? But truly, I think we don't put ourselves enough in the position of what it's like to take one of those products home that's been recalled, and maybe you don't watch the news. Maybe you didn't get the notification on your phone. Maybe you're trying to unplug because most news is pretty bad, and the notifications on your phone keep you on your phone, which is not a happy place because of how you use your phone and how the systems on your phone affect you, how the platforms, whether it's social or it's just the way that you lose attention to anything that you're doing for the phone. And so you try to disconnect, and then you go to Walmart again and you don't happen to see the printed out paper that is very, very faint. I'm not a scientist, but I imagine that if you put radioactive shrimp in the microwave, you about to turn your kitchen into a science experiment. You over there cooking the shrimp in the microwave, just looking at the door. Anytime, I don't know what it is about us, but and then maybe I'm the only one that's experienced this, but I've known 3 different microwaves to catch on fire. And in all 3 scenarios, the person who owned that microwave who was making something was looking through the door like, is that fire or is that just how it cook? Yes, all 3 were dudes, yes. And so, in that case, all 3 dudes were like, I don't know, you know, when you pop popcorn, the bag get big, I don't know. Maybe this chicken sandwich supposed to be on fire. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. You put a Chick-fil-A sandwich still in the foil right into the microwave. And so, yes, your sandwich is on fire, but that's not part of the process. You should probably open the door, put that out. Use the tongs. Don't use your hand. See what I mean? And so now you microwaved your shrimp. You're staring at the door. Why are they floating? Look, I don't know anything about radioactive shrimp, but I imagine a radioactive shrimp at least has the possibility of waking up. Imagine, you're a shrimp. You go on about your business, minding your own business, and then you get caught by some people from above. And somewhere along the line in your life, while you were down there in the water, or after you've been caught, you came across some radioactive material, not a usual part of the process. And then you end up at a facility where they bag you up with your brethren. They put great value on the bag. They send it to a local Walmart, and then you lay there in the bag. Somebody grabs the bag, somebody scans the bag, somebody bags the bag. They take you home. They open the bag into a bowl. They wash you off real quick like that's gonna do something. Everything wrong with you is on the inside. And then they throw you in the microwave because they can't cook. And you laying there. And then someone hits 3 minutes, which is too long. And you feel yourself. You open your eyes and you see a big old face. A big old face going. Is this supposed to be floating? You can't really make it out. You don't speak English or a shrimp, but someone finally has the wherewithal to press the open button on the microwave, and you fall back, and then you stand up. You stand up and walk out of the bowl. Nobody stops you. They're too busy running around screaming and praying. But something's happening. Something you've never experienced before. You're just used to swimming and crawling. But now something's happening. You have an awareness of yourself. You don't know how, you don't know why, but then you start to, out of nowhere, have not the word for it. What's the word for it? You've never had this before. What's the word for it? But you start to have these thoughts. You're out here really thinking. You're thinking about your entire life. What happened to you? That radioactive material you came across. And now, you decide, you know what? I'm gonna go out on my own. I'm gonna head for the door. And these great value customers are more than willing to let you leave. And you go out into the world, start to see, hear everything. You might even have some awareness of things that you haven't even come in contact with. Maybe it's super hearing, maybe it's telekinesis, who knows? And you come across a newspaper. You read a newspaper. And you're terrified. Because with only having, an hour's worth of knowledge and understanding, you can tell that things are bad. Things are not ideal in the world. No? You don't know what to do about it exactly, but you end up reading an article that's of a lot of importance to you because it's about you. It's about how there are radioactive shrimp at Walmart, and you're like, that's me. What should we do about this? I know what I'll do. I'll go to Washington. Because this little bit of life that I've been given, it's important that I use it for a purpose. It's important that I do something with it. The whole purpose of life is to not just be a witness, but be a connection to another life. And so I want to connect to all these lives I'm coming in contact with. I got to dodge a lot of feet to get there, but it's okay. And so you go to Washington and you decide to go to what you potentially feel is the source of the problem. People have been loosening regulations. People have been lobbying the Food and Drug Administration. They've been gutting the EPA. They've been gutting every safeguard that the people have to be able to eat food that's not radioactive. And so, for whatever reason, you decide you're on the side of the people, and so you go to a house, one specific house, and you crawl into a bowl, one singular bowl, and you let yourself be eaten by the head of Health and Human Services. And let's be clear, he notices you glowing, but and it was a sacrifice that you made, and it's a sacrifice that was very gross. There was a lot of roadkill on the plate. Then you climbed onto a bed of rice in the bowl, and then, you get slurped down, and now you're down there in RFK Jr.'s stomach. And you're surrounded by something. You don't know what it is, but after a while, because of all of this knowledge you've absorbed over your short lifetime, you realize, raw milk. Ugh. And then you let yourself fall away. And it was all worth it because RFK Jr. is over here sitting at a press conference talking about how we're going to introduce more raw milk into the U.S. or, going to make sure every kid eats roadkill for breakfast or something. I don't know. I don't know what the next initiative is, but while he's sitting there, RFK Jr. goes, whew. my stomach hurts. It was the best you could do. My friends had a baby, right? And a lot of my friends are having babies either this year or some of them already had them last year. Basically, since the pandemic, I guess my friends have had a lot of time together. Okay. Basically, I met one of my friend's babies and I could tell that I was the baby's like first black person. Like I could tell it was just so apparent. It was like as soon as we looked at each other, he was like he went through all of the emotions at one time. Like because when they rolled him over and he looked at me, he was like, oh. You know? And it was an odd feeling. I didn't even bring it up. I could just tell. You know what I mean? Like I could feel it. And look, I'm not even saying it's the baby's fault. The baby got a white family. Hadn't got around to exploring the world yet, you know? I was the baby's first black person and it made me think about, I don't know if I fully remember the real first time, but I kind of remember what I at least think was me meeting my first white person. It's very important that the day before this happened, I was at like a family picnic, right? I was at this family picnic and extended family had come. So I'm seeing cousins I don't normally see and like all of the older people are there and everything. And so some of the kids are playing, some of them running around, right? There was one kid that was running around, knocking a bunch of stuff over, one of my older cousins, right? And he had to be like maybe 8 or 9 or something, but he's running around. And his parents were telling him, hey, slow down or stop or be still real quick. We're about to eat, all that stuff. And then he's still running around, knocking drinks over every once in a while. And finally, my great aunt, his grandma, as he was passing, she did that grandma move where she just snatched him real quick, right? Like, even his parents couldn't catch up. His parents were running like, come on now. She was like, pow, like it was incredible. She snatched a little arm and stopped him right there. And then she looked at him and he looked at her. And then she said through her teeth, so you know she meant it, right? She was like, if you don't be still, I'm going to slap the black off you. So the next day, when I met this kid, all I could think was, it can happen. Ooh, I gotta be extra nice to him. Something clearly going on at home. I was watching documentary about like serial killers and like sociopaths and stuff, and how basically they do these profiles where they try to identify whatever these like specific things are with their personality that make them the way they are, right? A lot of the traits and a lot of the signs. And one of the things they were saying in the documentary is that one of the best things you can do for anyone that's suffering from these sort of things is to find it as early as possible. That way you can help them before they do harm, you know? But then they also said that it's difficult to identify some of these traits when people are kids, because a lot of the list of what like psychopaths and sociopaths do as kids is a list of things that kids already do. Not the full list, but like a considerable amount of it, you know? And one of the things in the list is long-term bedwetting, right? Like bedwetting at like 13, 14, whatever, right? And it triggered a memory for me. Because when I was little, I had to be like 12 or something. I got invited to a sleepover, which was a big deal for me. I'm an only child, you know. Getting invited to a sleepover as a kid is like going out to the club as an adult. You know what I mean? It's the same energy. It's like me and my boys ride tonight. And so we got over there and we're having a great time. We're watching movies, we're playing games, we're like in the yard playing football and stuff. But it wasn't until it was time to go to bed that I realized that there was a hierarchy here. Because the kid who invited us, that was hosting us, only had so much room in his room. So his closest friend stayed in his room with him. And the rest of us stayed in the living room, right? And his parents made these little bulgy, like blankets and stacks of quilts and stuff for us to sleep on and everything. And I know it shouldn't have been a big deal to me because we had been playing all day. But if you've ever been to a sleepover, you know that when you're supposed to be asleep is when the good stuff happens. That's when the real conversation is had. And that's when all the memories get made. And I'm out here in the living room with the losers. So I get ready to go to bed, right? And I was laying with this other kid because it was 2 to each for everything. And it's not really important to the story, but the kid's name was DeMarvin, right? And so we fall asleep and I wake up middle of the night. Don't even know why I woke up, you know? And I notice when I wake up that just like the side of my leg and the side of my elbow are wet. And so I look over and DeMarvin not there, but his whole spot is wet. And I sat up, and as I sat up, I looked up and DeMarvin was sitting across from me watching me sleep. That's strike one, all right? Any child who watches you sleep, that should be on the list right there. And not only is he watching me sleep, he got his legs crossed. That's strike two. How you gonna sit there and cross your legs and watch somebody sleep like a villain? He's watching me sleep, has his legs crossed, and when I sit up, you ever so scared you assume you're not awake? It was so freaky to just see him there already staring at me. I was like, I'm tripping. I need to go back to bed. This kid looks at me, legs crossed, and goes, Joshua? That's strike three. Full name? Full name. We're both kids. Full name? You're the devil. This kid looks at me and goes, Joshua, I've wet the bed. But I'm gonna tell everyone it was you. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what? How does that even make sense? Like, I'm the side of my leg is wet. Your whole spot was wet. People saw you sleep here. What are you talking about? You gonna tell everybody that I wet the bed? And then he goes from this like crazy intense stare to his face softening. And he's like, do you ever change your clothes? And as soon as he says it, I get it. As soon as that kid says that, I fully understand. Because that's gotta be terrifying. You know, you're at a sleepover, maybe you don't get invited to many, and you wet the bed? You're around a bunch of 12-year-old boys and you wet the bed. You'll never live it down. Wetting the bed at a sleepover at 12 is like wetting the bed when you go out clubbing with your boys. It's like, you killing the whole vibe right now. I knew we shouldn't have invited Jerry. He wet in the bed. Can't handle his liquor at all. So as soon as he said it, I got it. I really did. I understood. I was like, dang. That's tough, right? I don't know what I would do. I wet the bed. I'm trying to make friends with other kids. I'm a living room kid as well, so I'm already a loser. And then I wet the bed. I wouldn't live it down. And so I looked at him. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I only have the clothes that I have. I don't have any extra clothes. And then he goes, oh, okay. And I don't know where he got it from, but as soon as he said okay, he grabbed a cup of water and he threw it on me, right? And as soon as he threw the water on my crotch, I was like, ow, what's wrong with you? And the first kid woke up and DeMarvin was like, Josh wet the bed. And this is my thing. It would have been so much simpler to wake up in the middle of the night, realize that you wet the bed, go to the kitchen, which I'm assuming he went to, grab a mug, which I'm assuming he did, fill it with water, which he must have had, and then just poured it on me while I was sleeping. That would have been so much easier. I wouldn't have known. I would have woken up and been like, damn, y'all, I'm sorry. I thought I was done with this. I'm killing the vibe right now. It's so much more insane to wake up, realize you wet the bed, sit across from me, wait for me to wake up, staring at me the whole time, crossing your legs, saying my full name, telling me your plan, and then throwing water on me. I don't know where DeMarvin is now. I'm assuming that he's alive and well. But I do know for a fact that someone somewhere is dead. My other friends had kids in like 2022, 2023 and stuff. So then their kids are like at that age where they're like over a year old. They're basically at that age where you keep still saying like months. You know what I'm talking about? Like, nobody can just say like 1.2. I don't know, it's just as accurate, you know what I mean? Don't make me do the math. Because anything past 12, I know 12 months is a year, right? I know 18 months, year and a half. Once you hit me with a 27 months, I'm like... You know, and so their baby is 16 months. 1.6. And they have a beautiful little boy, right? But it's funny, I didn't even think about this until I was hanging out at their house, you know. When it comes to our nature as people, right? We have the id, we have the ego, we have the superego, right? The id is like your lowest form. It's the impulsive part of your brain that is repulsed by pain. It's excited by pleasure, seeks it at all costs, right? The superego is your judgment. It's sort of your higher self in a way. It's how you weigh and balance some of your actions. A lot of religions attribute it to like the God in us trying to tell us what's right and wrong morally. And the ego is what mediates between the id and the superego. So then you'll have an id moment. Superego will judge it. Ego will process it, right? Id is like, I would very much like to sleep with this person. Superego is like, don't do that. That's your friend's wife. And then ego is like, but she's so hot. Didn't say this was all going to be a good person, right? But it's interesting being around babies because babies are all like cave person. They're all id. They're not weighing anything yet. It's just, I would like to do that. I'd like to not do that. They're not thinking about the bigger picture, right? There was one point where my friend sat her baby down in his little seat, right? And she laid her coffee on the counter, right? And then she had to go grab something else. And as soon as she laid the coffee down on the counter, the baby looked at the coffee. And you could tell, and I don't know why I do this, but I always give babies in my head, I always give them deep voices when they're thinking, right? Because I saw the baby look at the cup and was like, the coffee is in the cup. But what if it wasn't? And so then this baby went to knock the cup over, right? Knock the cup over and just go ahead and watch the whole spill. And I don't know how, but babies are fast and slow at the same time, right? Because so she sat the baby down, walked away. The baby looked at the cup and looked at me. I looked at the cup and looked at the baby. And I swear, as soon as I started moving to stop the baby was like, oh! As soon as we locked eyes, it became an emergency. I gotta get this cup over. I have full legs. I was running at this baby. I was running at the baby to stop him from knocking off the coffee so hard that I was scared I wouldn't stop. I was scared I was gonna take out the coffee and the baby, right? But I'm trying to make my way across the room and the baby just, oh! And right as he slapped the cup of coffee over, I got to him and I pulled him up and away from the coffee, and he was just looking at me. Like looking me in my eyes, you know? And he didn't say anything, but you could tell he was thinking, I win. I don't know if y'all saw what's happening in LA. But the Archdiocese in LA just settled for $750 million with the lawsuits of everyone who had claimed abuse while they were patrons of the church. $750 million. I think $800 million when you count in some other stuff. That brings the Catholic Church's total payout to $1.5 billion. Anyone else would be closed. That's so much money. $1.5 billion that you had. You had $1 billion to pay out with. That's crazy, you know? There's no other company I could really think of that could do that much harm and be able to afford the payout. You know? You'd have to be like a gun manufacturer or something. It's so jarring, you know? I think that's what really bothers me about it. It's like there's the payout. And anytime someone has to pay, even if it hurts a little to pay, if they had the money, it feels like less justice because they had it. You know, you gotta make them pay a number that they genuinely don't know. I don't know if we can do. Good, that's exactly how much I want. You know, $1.5 billion worth of damage that you also admit you did. You know, this isn't like hush money. This is a settlement where everybody knows what happened and everybody knows how you handled it. You know, that's so jarring. And it makes you, how can that not affect your faith? You know what I mean? You went to this place. This is supposed to be the safest place in the world. This is supposed to be the place where you like lay down every burden, not pick up extra. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know where you go from here. It's beyond PR. You can't be like, but we also donate a lot to. I don't know if I want you around anybody right now. That's my thing. I don't even just care about the money. I'm glad that
they had to pay. And I'm glad that, survivors are getting something for all those years of trauma, all those years of therapy, all those years of like trying to navigate the world, and people looking at you like it must be you. If you're dealing with something all day, it does not escape your mind, and you can't even hold down a job because the way that people are around you affects everything that you do. I'm glad that they have something in return from that, because you can't undo what's been done, right? But like who's in jail? Is anybody in jail? We always forget that jail would be better. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that that's what they want, but it takes so long to get justice. Half of the monsters are like dead. And then the other half are like still alive, but then there's like statute of limitations, which I don't know. I don't fully understand statute of limitations, because I understand that it's constitutional to have a fair and speedy trial, right? But we don't seem to do that either. You know what I mean? Like if Young Thug's trial can last 75 years, why can't you be like, you too? Get over here. I know it was a long time ago. Doesn't change the fact that you did it. That's what's so painful about it too, because then it affects you whether you know it or not, whether you're like Christian, Catholic, whatever. You try to tell somebody about Jesus and they're like, oh, I've heard. Do you know what I mean? It's a burden that we all carry. It's a weight that like is inescapable. And it happened to, in a way, it happened to all of us. Obviously not in direct enough of a way that I'm like claiming some victimhood or anything, but it also, you yourself might trust this person that you find out is a monster, which then makes you question everything this person said to you. Maybe they didn't do anything to you, but they did something so horrific to someone else that you're like, how can that person that did those things be right about what happens when you die? Like, I know the two seem like they don't have anything to do with each other, but they are so directly related, because this person is basically telling you the keys to a good life, the keys to being a good person, and the keys to salvation. And then you realize that they were dangling those keys over someone else to keep their silence, right? That's too heavy, I don't even know where you would go from here. Because nothing that is said by anyone in the church seems to fill the void that the church has created, both between people and themselves and between the people who had harm done to them and the way to redemption is just so far, And the people writing now, the people who write for the church, the people who are the spokespeople, the people that we see, they don't have it like that really. Like they're like when they say their words, it doesn't hit like the Bible hit. There's no thous that can bridge the gap that's been created, right? There's no ye's that make me feel better. Because I don't know. What is the truth taught by a liar? Do you know what I mean? Even if you really believe, you believe it from the bottom of your heart. This guy, this Weinstein is going to be the guy who spreads the word? That seems short-sighted. And then how they handled it too, because they handled it like the mob would handle it. They didn't look at those people, those patrons, those souls that they have a responsibility to, that they took up the responsibility to. No, I personally don't know anyone who was made to go to seminary. Everybody there is a volunteer, And so you'd find out. Sometimes it was the priests themselves telling their superior, I got a problem, right? And the superior was like, we'll get you out of town. That was the move for a long time. It's why so much damage was done. If your toilet is broken, you get it out the house. You don't move it to another family's house to ruin their life. Do you see what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I know I kind of like land on this thing a lot. And so maybe I'm doing the point a disservice, you know, because a part of me hopes against hope that I don't care how it happens. I want everything that those priests were teaching to be real, right? I want it to be the truth. So that way we all know in our hearts that there's a hell. And I know that's like way more fire and brimstone. That's not like the uplifting message or anything, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be nice. It'd be nice to, you know, finally get justice 20 years too late. The person's passed away, and then you're like, nah, God got him. You know?
I've been in Honolulu for a week, and I have been dressed like this the whole time. In case you were wondering, yeah, this is what I wear all the time. There were people who, you know, recognized me on the street, said, hey, and then there were people who didn't recognize me at all and said, hey, are you all right? Like, something going on? Aren't you hot? And, yeah. But it's been beautiful. It's been amazing to just walk around, see everything, meet people. This is, man, y'all are very chill. Like, I know it's a stereotype, but it's also happening, and it is just coming from someone who lives in New York. It is genuinely jarring. It's like, this is wild. Do y'all even know this is? Everybody's so chill, which I understand is a beautiful place. This is an incredible place. It truly is. You're still on planet Earth, though. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, a little disrespectful to not be freaking out a touch more. Yeah, I mean, it's charming, but only to a point. It's genuine. Y'all live, even here is so beautiful, but also this is dangerous too. Y'all don't seem bothered at all. This is active volcanoes. There are active volcanoes, actors, the ones that do it, the ones that volcane are here. And y'all are like, do you want to go see it? Because it might do it. Wouldn't that be crazy if it did it while we were there and then we saw it do it? Yeah, it would be crazy. It would be insane. No, I think I'm good. I think I'm good watching from the comfort of my TV. It's like, no, you gotta go to witness. It's like, you don't have to be a witness to everything. Sometimes you could just hear a story and it's fine. Active volcanoes. No one's bothered. No one, wow. I've been places where nothing was gonna happen and they were freaking out more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have friends in San Francisco. And those friends in San Francisco, like, you know, any day now, we could slip into the ocean. We could just break off. We just snap like a Twix. We could just... All right. I mean, if you really thought that, why are you paying a mortgage? That's a little wild, right? That you think you're going to slip into the ocean, but also, you got to do something. No, it blows my mind. Oh, it's been so cool to be here. I had no idea What it would be like to see this many roosters roam free. Look, you're gonna have to be patient with me, all right? Because I didn't know. There's a lot I didn't know. This trip has been teaching me a lot I didn't know. I didn't know most things. So I get here and I see a rooster, but I'm like, oh, he probably got loose. Like I hope somebody find their rooster. I'm like, oh, because I hate to see, you know what I mean? Like, I hate to see like a lost pet or animal companion just out in the wild like that. And it was walking on pavement like it owned it. And then I heard like a rooster, and it wasn't. I really thought, this is how you know I grew up on cartoons. I really thought they only made noise like in the morning. I was positive that was like the nature's alarm clock. I didn't know they were like dogs and they could just go whenever they wanted. So now I'm waking up and like, I'm not saying I hear a rooster every time I wake up. I'm just saying like I wake up and because of the jet lag, I live in New York. So because of the jet lag, I'm waking up earlier, just naturally than I would otherwise. And so I'm waking up and then you might hear a rooster at the time that I wake up because it's very early. Like the sun is not out yet, right? And then the sun is out. And then I'm walking around and I hear a rooster again and I'm like, that can't be right. I'm positive that's not right because I know it's been all day today. And far be it from me, like whenever an animal is very good at something, I try to just trust that. Like I understand the groundhog thing, we kind of made that up. That's not exactly right. But I still check to see what the groundhog said, right? Because people used to go off of it. Now with the roosters seem completely unreliable. I understand this is the rooster's whole thing, but I will go ahead and start looking for myself. And the way that y'all just don't even acknowledge them, I felt like I was on drugs. I was looking around at the roosters and I was like, all right, so nobody gonna come get. You try to call animal control the roosters and they hang up. This is very upsetting. Why would you? I didn't know roosters were like rabbits. Like maybe if you just let two roosters hang out for too long, you get 8 roosters and then 16 and then 64. And then no matter where you go, there's a rooster doing, I guess, nothing. I don't know what they do. 5 o'clock, I heard a rooster and I was like, oh, poor baby. He gotta be blind. That's what I said. No, don't do that. That's him guessing. He guessing right now. And then I realized I was completely off base. They don't just stop making noise because of the time of day. Wow. You learn something every day you should already know. That's deeply embarrassing. It's been beautiful. It's so beautiful, and everybody is so like laid back. Not every single person, but like as a general state is laid back. The people who I see freaking out, the people who I really see freaking out are not from here. You know what I mean? Like the people. There are a lot of people. Like you could tell you could tell who's like from here and not from here also by how there's a look. There's a look in the eyes of a person
who like when somebody just got here, they seem like they could be from here because they're so excited to be here. When somebody just got here, they're like, oh, wow. And once again, just outside looking in, y'all do that too. Like y'all do have the locals I've met have been like, man, what a day. And then the last day hits. It's time to go home, and you can tell it's a different look on their face. Their eyes different because they finally got the bill from whatever. Same mannerisms too, just like. Oh, but it's been beautiful to just walk around and see so many people that know how to swim. That is. Swimming. Okay, swimming for me has been trial and error. It's been a trial of errors. And it's like whenever people are like, people don't want to believe that I don't fully believe that I can swim. I'll talk to people and they'll be like, yeah, but you could like swim to save your life though, right? And I'm like, I don't want to find out. I feel like that's one of the main reasons I stay on land is because I'm not sure. What a test. What a test. What a test to fail. And then now you know. Now I know. Now I know I can't swim. That's a crazy thing. But you could swim to save your life, right? Isn't that swimming? Isn't that the whole swimming? Whether you're swimming for fun or you're swimming to save your life, aren't you still the same amount of upright over the water? That's a crazy thing to ask somebody. Imagine somebody's on crutches. Someone's on crutches and you're like, yeah, but you can like run to save your life, right? It's like, maybe. Why would I want to find that out though? Why would I put myself in a running situation? Why would I on crutches walk up and slap a bigger man than me? Just to see if maybe, who knows? It might be like having 3 legs, having these crutches. And being on 1 foot. And then you see people surfing. I love watching people surf at home. When I'm at home, I'll watch any surf documentary. I love surfers. I think it's so cool. I love watching them do tricks. I love watching it. You could just be regular swim. One of the things I've had in the background before is just like a beachy waves, like looping video for hours. And it was people just like, whether they were swimming or surfing, they were all just around each other in the water. I personally, this is just a me thing. This is not a reflection on anybody else. I cannot watch it. I can't, if I'm at the beach and I'm watching people surf, I'm like, how are they not running over every head they come across? Like when you're watching on TV and the camera is just on them, you're like, look at how coordinated they are. They're so cool. Look at them move. Man, I wish my hips moved like that. But then when you're watching and you're like, well, there's somebody's head. Oh, they missed. Okay. I watched my friends. One time I went to a beach with my friends. My friends went swimming and they came back and they were like, you sure you don't want to get in? And I was like, you keep asking me if I could swim to save my life, but then also ask me if I want to get in. I think I'm good. I'm good on the beach right here where it's level, where if I drown, it's my fault. But you're over there having a great time swimming. Yay, backstroke, everything. You didn't even see. There was a dude surfing around. You almost died 3 times. I saw it. He almost ran you right over. I don't even know how that would work. It doesn't even, like, here's the thing. I don't know how surfing works. You're about to find that out. But, it doesn't even seem that bad if you got, ran over by a surfboard in the water that was past you until you get to those 3 teeth in the back. That seems like it would hurt. Like, because I'm not saying the board's going to hit them in the head. I'm just saying they're like coming up the same time as somebody's passing, and everyone is so fluid with it. That's stressful. I know it's a gorgeous dance, but I'm watching this dude, just one twist of his ankle, he could have taken out 2 people right there. So you see the big waves that people surf on, right? Those huge waves that people surf on, and then they're coming down from the wave. I don't know why. Maybe I was never paying attention in the movies or in the competitions I'd watch on TV, but there's people in there. That's crazy. Why isn't that a sport? That seems like it should be a sport to get in the middle of the wave and not drown. You'll see these big waves, and then there's people surfing the wave, and then there's just a guy in the middle like, did he even mean to get in? That's too much going with the flow. I'm already worried about flat water. If I got caught in a wave, I can't even fathom. If I got caught in a wave and started shooting up, I already can't swim. I can't also drown up. Imagine 10-foot wave, you inside. Which way do you swim when you're up? If you're in the wave, if you're here, where are you supposed to go? You're not even caught in like an undertow getting sucked down. You are about to shoot up in the air. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Oh, I'd be so embarrassed if I drown up. I don't even know if they let you into heaven, because you would be explaining like, listen, I was in the water, all right? But then there was really sick wave. There was a guy on it, crushing it. But I was in the middle, and I was real high up in the air. I could actually see that I was like above land. But there was too much water in front of my face for me to take a breath. Maybe, if I had been snorkeling, I would have had that stick, and I could have leaned out and sucked some air. But alas, I was regular swimming. You can tell I'm not from here because I'll go to the beach and I'm not having a beachy time like everybody else. I go to the beach, I don't get in the water. That already probably looks suspicious. That looks like I'm just there to watch, which is, people watching at the beach is like sweet unless you're doing nothing. If you also went to swim and now you're like, look at everybody having a good time, you know what I mean? Or if you were like building a sandcastle and then you're like, look at everybody, oh, it's so beautiful and everything. Or if you were surfing and then you take a break, look at everybody. But when you're me and you just went to go, and you just standing on the beach dressed like this, I'm sure I look like a ghost from something. I'm sure I probably look like the ghost to somebody out there surfing of like a hit and run they did or something. Just because I don't know anybody out there, so it's not like I'm waving. I'm just... No. I go to the beach exactly dressed like this and it makes everybody uncomfortable. I'm sure they think I'm the police. I'm positive. This one time I went to the beach and I was just walking. I was truly minding my own business. I even stepped out of my comfort zone. I even took the shoes and socks off. I know you thought that I was doing that already, and I was not. No, when I say dress like this, I mean fully. I mean like head to toe like this. And so I had taken my shoes and my socks off. I was walking, feeling the sand under my feet. I was like, man, I get what people are, wow. This is nice. This is as nice as they say. This is beautiful. It's all happening, right? And then as I take a step, all right, this wasn't my fault. This was not. You gonna judge me? And that's fine. I've accepted I'm gonna be judged, but this is not my fault. Okay, I'm walking, right? And then I feel something. Okay? I feel something. And it's not like glass. I didn't cut my foot. That would have been better. I was walking and I feel something. I take a step and I feel something and I realize I can't take another step. I feel it around my ankle and I can't take another step. And somebody had buried themselves in the sand and then grabbed my ankle, right? And grab my ankle, right? And so grabbed it good too. Like this is crazy. This is the most Mad Max thing I've ever seen in my life. Already buried in the sand, but then grabbed my ankle and I turn around and I see a hand and nothing else. And so I'm like, ha, ha, ha! I scream, right? I scream, okay? And so I'm walking, grab my ankle, I stop, I look, I scream. All this very reasonable so far, right? All of this is on the other person. Okay, so then I try to pull away. I can't because no quad strength, I don't know. But like I can't pull away like I want to. And so then as I try to pull away, I try to pull away twice, and this is still out of panic. I still don't even know what's happening really. I just know that there's a hand around my ankle and there's nothing else, right? And then I finally turn around and see the hand and keep screaming. So I have screamed for too long now, right? Like I should have processed what was happening. So then out of fear, I start stomping the hand off my other foot, right? So it's right here and I'm right? So I stomp a while. Now, to be fair to me, they did hold on, all right? So then I'm stomping. Then they sit up, right? They did sit up, which should have clued me into exactly what was happening, but in the moment only did terrify me more. So then I went from stomping the hand and I did kick them in the head, okay? I did kick him in the head, and then I ran, right? And I ran, and while I was running, it was when I was processing, like, oh, okay, probably not a zombie. A zombie's hand wouldn't have had more body attached to it. A zombie probably wouldn't have sat up and been a whole person that I kicked. Also wild to do to a stranger. If it had been my friend, they still would have got their hand stomped, right? That was anybody. But then when they sat up and I was like, more? Oh. So I like the beach. I like it for all of you. I like the beach for everyone who likes going to the beach. And I'll go to the beach and I'll watch you have fun, but that's where it ends for me. Never taking my shoes off again at the beach. Yeah, people are like, but you'll get sand in your shoes. Yeah. Or I could take them off and get hands on my feet. What would you rather? If someone truly came to you and they were like, listen, you could have one random claw on your ankle and foot, or you could have some sand in your shoe. I think you take the sand every time. No. Oof. Mm-mm. You know, I got friends that love to swim, and I'm happy for them. You know? I'm very happy for it. It looks fun when they do it. Sometimes I'll go snorkeling. That's when you almost drown, kind of. I don't even fully understand snorkeling because you got the tube. but you're not sucking any air. It's not scuba diving. You got the tube, but then what's the tube for? Because you're just going to exhale. You could have just done that through your mouth. I don't know how to do it. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm positive I'm wrong, but I'm saying when I saw it, when they went under, I was like, you don't need that around your mouth. I hope you don't suck in, because that's going to be water. That's wild. That maybe you don't want any bubbles in your face? Is that why you brought the thing down to up the side? Are you trying to convince the fish you're a fish? Is that the plan? No, if they see me breathing out of my mouth all human-like, they'll swim away. I want them to like me. Got friends that'll go scuba dive. Scuba diving looks very fun. That's when you like try to drown. That's when you're like, I bet I can get lower. I bet I can get so low that even the water pressure is kind of affecting me. I didn't even know this. People who go that deep scuba dive, like people who do the real deep stuff that look like it's from Mission Impossible. You know that stuff that's like an action movie where they're like, you're going to have to go deeper than anyone's gone before to see this particular fish. And they go down that deep and then they come up. Then they got to get in like a tank so that they don't explode. I don't know how some people create a definition of fun. I've never been almost about to explode ever. And I've had a pretty great life. The idea you would go down so deep that now you had a tank. Tank was on you. Then you went down. Now you come back up and they're like, you need to get in a tank immediately. Which I believe these people are experts, but in my head I'm like, but if they came up, aren't they good? Like you would think, I don't know, it's like you're already up here. So just don't take a deep breath, I guess. Just do some little ones. But then they got to get in a tank so that they level out, so that they can walk around again in not the ocean. Scuba diving just seems wild to me, because then you got the tank and then they tell you how much air is in the tank and you just got to believe them. Nobody's ever been wrong. A tank's never been, because they'll be like, no, it's also on the tank. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you ever in a car and it says it's not on E, but then it does stop. And you're like, oh, this needle isn't as precise as I thought it was. Which is upsetting for a needle. You would think as soon as it hits, because some people, I've been in some people's cars, especially those old cars too, where like the needle hitting the E, I would even say it. I'd be like driving with my dad, right? My dad would be picking me up from school or something, and I'd be like, oh, it's on E. Just so you know. And he's like, no, we good. And I would say, Father, I know I'm 7, but from what I've heard, I know I'm not a driver. I'm not a driver. From what I've heard, E means empty. It looks like we're very close to empty and we're not already at home. No, we're good. It's gotta go past the needle to really be out. Just because it's touching the E doesn't mean we're at E. It gotta go past the E, and then that's E. And I'm like, oh, then why didn't they put the E there? Seems odd that they put the E nowhere near where the E is. It's like, that's just the way cars made, son. I was like, Dad, look. I know I'm little, but I can handle it. You can tell me right now if we're poor, all right? That logic doesn't make sense at all. No, it's on E, but it's like not on E. I'm like, what are you saving up for?
Because, you see people, I'm sure, y'all see people all over, Midwest, Northeast, the South, the western parts of the country. All these people, freaking out. Freaking out. And not without reason. You saw leading up to the election, eggs are $12? We had no idea. For everything that we complain about, things are like twice as expensive for y'all. How are y'all not complaining every day? I can't believe that doesn't make you angry to see someone from Indianapolis be like, the apple juice was $6 before and it's $8 today. That doesn't seem fair or right. Meanwhile, here it's $22. And not only is it $22, there's one jug. Even when you got the money, you gotta make sure you get there first. And still, how? And still, y'all are like, with enough time, with enough patience, with enough elbow grease, you'll make your own apple juice. You just gotta... Sometimes when I'm upset, sometimes when life is getting me down, something really grinds my gears, I just try to take it out and try to exercise it in a productive way, you know what I mean? So whenever I'm really angry, I'll get something, I'll just grind something down, right? Just grind it down over and over again. And then I started to do that with the apples, and then I made apple juice, and now I'm fine. What? No, it's wild. This is wild. Yeah, this is wow. I know I'm still on planet Earth, but whoa. You know what I mean? It does feel like, and I'm really not saying this in a way that is just trying to butter you up or anything, but this does feel like a different dimension, because the 7-Eleven is nice. You need to understand. Even though you're clapping and you're cheering, I don't even think you understand what you're clapping and cheering for. The 7-Eleven being nice. The 7-Eleven being nice is it's like if you turned the AR-15 into bubbles. It's what? First of all, how? Second, this is not what this is supposed to do. This is just 7-Eleven. I can tell you right now, in every other part of America, the back of 7-Eleven specifically is for drug use. And look, maybe that's happening here and everybody just has a real good attitude about it. I have no idea. But the 7-Eleven in New York, okay, so look, the 7-Eleven in New York, this is just an example of how bad it can get, right? There are some places where people who are in any way sort of down on their luck, truly unfortunate, truly having a rough go of everything, will try to find some way. They need some money. They need something, right? And so they will hang out outside the 7-Eleven. And one of the things that some people do, especially in New York, is they will hold the door open for you when you go in. They'll open the door for you when you walk out, right? All in the hope that maybe if you have spare change, or if you could get them something, that you will give them something for that thing. Let me try to do you this small service in return for something, right? Because they don't have anything, you know? And that's something that's common practice in New York at plenty of places. And the 7-Eleven that I went into in New York, I saw a guy, he was standing in front of the door. He had his hand on the door handle. And I like nodded at him. I was like, hey, how's it going? And then I went to walk into the 7-Eleven and I hit the door. I hit the door because this man wasn't opening it for people. He was charging people to get in. Which is frankly a better business model. That is pretty good. No. You go into a 7-Eleven. You go into a 7-Eleven in New York City. Let's say they just mopped. Let's say the best of circumstances, they just mopped, right? There's a wet floor sign, but what's that gonna do? What's that really gonna do? They just put those out so they don't get sued. What is that really meant to do? It's a wet floor sign over there. I walked in, it's wet right here. And if you fall, if you slip in a 7-Eleven, if you slip in a 7-Eleven in New York City, you have to burn whatever part of you fell. Because I know they mopped, but they didn't mop to clean it. They mopped to move around whatever was the reason for mopping in the first place. So if you walk in and you see that wet floor sign all the way over there, and you don't know that means the entire floor, everything in here is wet now, and you walk, whoa, and then you slip, and then you fall on your back, you will want to die. Walk into a 7-Eleven here. People smile. I know this is common for you. I know that you don't understand what the difference is. I want you to imagine, goodness forbid, but let's imagine that you went to jail. And when you got there, everybody smiled. Based on your understanding of jail, that wouldn't make you more comfortable. Based on what you think about jail, if you walked in and everybody smiled at you specifically, you would think, uh-oh. And so forgive me if being conditioned by New York City 7-Elevens, walking into a 7-Eleven here and seeing people smile, I don't return it right away. I'm shocked, I'm suspicious. If you walk into a 7-Eleven in New York and everyone is smiling at you, that 7-Eleven is being robbed right now. These are not sincere smiles. These are the smiles of people who don't want to be shot. This is smiles. You walk into a 7-Eleven in New York and they're smiling at you, you run. You run, because there's not, it's a, No, people smile at you at 7-Eleven and they aren't even saying anything through their teeth. It's a genuine smile. It's a silent. And you say, welcome. And say, hello. A smile at a 7-Eleven in New York. Call somebody. It's one with a gun. But I think the other two in on it. Hurry. Not just a nice 7-Eleven with nice people. You got different stuff, which is unfair. You got whole flavors. You got whole flavors I can't pronounce. You go into a 7-Eleven here, and you gotta understand. I've only been to the 7-Elevens I've been to, so. Sorry that I'm uncultured. Everything at the 7-Eleven I'm used to is not like this. You get in there and you get the what is this? Hoapia? Hopia? Hopia. Howpia. We go to a 7-Eleven and you get a Howpia Slurpee. I saw the letters and I was like, I didn't even say it right just now. Get the Leehing. These are flavors I'm not used to. I didn't know these flavors had come out. I'm used to going to 7-Eleven and getting some of the most dystopian Mountain Dew type flavors you've ever heard in your life. Just a color to a thing that doesn't exist the way that it says in the flavor. You go to 7-Eleven in New York, you get like a, I don't know, black elephant Slurpee or something like that. Just something that just sounds wrong. Whole time you pulling it, the machine doesn't even want to let it out right away. You pull that thing and the machine is like, And then after a while, you hold it open long enough and the thing is spinning. Finally, the machine is like, if you insist. And when it hit the cup, it doesn't sound right. When they hit the cup, you're like, something hard inside, something soft. I know sounds. This is not all liquid. Not even all ice. Something, then y'all can put 3 rocks and 4 paper clips in here. I can tell from the way it's falling, because it falls with no integrity. It falls with no real consistency at all. How? McDonald's is good here. How'd you pull that off? Same company. This is the same, it's one company. That's crazy. That's crazy they would bring all the good McDonald's here and they would make us eat slop everywhere else. McDonald's in New York City is where you do heroin. I don't mean the back like a 7-Eleven. I mean in the restaurant portion of the McDonald's. I mean you order your Big Mac and then you sit down at your table to do your heroin. The Big Mac is just a formality. It's crazy. I was in New York. I was going to a McDonald's, not by choice. My girlfriend wanted to go to McDonald's, and so we went into a McDonald's, and all she ordered was an ice cream cone, one ice cream cone, one cone with ice cream on it. You would think that there's no way the devil could get involved It's one ice cream. It's ice cream. It's ice cream with a cone. It's simple. We've seen it a million times. It's not revolutionary. And they handed her ice cream with a cone. And before she could even take a bite, she felt something. And she turned the cone, and there was a Band-Aid. Unless we're having a nightmare, how? How do you just have them in the back ready to go? In case anybody thought they were going to enjoy McDonald's in New York City? This is crazy. I just want to let y'all know the planet y'all live on. Because nothing seems to get to y'all. Not like fundamentally, not like real. I'm stressed out for y'all sometimes. I don't even live here, but I remember 2017. I remember in 2017 when that fake missile thing. I remember. How is this still a place? How is it? If that had happened in New York City, real estate prices would have dropped because we'd all be dead. Everyone would have. That's crazy. Imagine what was even said in those moments. You get that text, you finally turn to your spouse, and you're like, it really hadn't been right between us for a long time. And I want to get that out there because I don't want to die with anything on my heart. And then 15 minutes later, you sitting there, look, everybody said stuff. Everybody said something that they meant but didn't mean if we were going to live. How? Wow. I can't imagine getting that message at work. You at work. You might not even like it here. You at work, and then you get the false alarm. You get the, hey, no, you're actually good. Hey, somebody pressed the wrong button. That blows that's how I can tell y'all are actually really good people. The fact that thing happened and so many bosses went unpunched. Y'all thought you were gonna die. And nobody punched their boss right in the nose. Nobody, this is it. This is it. Because the other message didn't go out right away. People thought they were gonna die for like 8 minutes or something. And that's if you looked again. That's like if you checked. You know, some people reacted the way I would react. There were some people that like found, manhole cover, jumped in, everything. All right, okay, yeah, you jumped in. There's some sewage. It's stinky, but you would have lived. You would have, you know what I mean? You would have lived. Then there's other people that, wow. I'm not judging, but truly no initiative. Like, truly, I heard stories from people that were like, yeah, it went off and I just finished my TV dinner. And, you just kept eating the TV dinner that you weren't enjoying. They were like, yeah, I'd rather die full. And then the fact that like there wasn't like a riot. The fact that there wasn't a riot over the person who pressed the message went out, hey, sorry, we pressed the wrong button. And then as a state, y'all were like, stuff happens. It's not like that big a deal. I don't know why everybody's stressing out. Yeah, buttons are confusing. Sometimes I press the wrong button. It's not that big of a deal. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I just have to call a divorce lawyer and he's gonna hold everybody to what they said while That's just not me. That's not me at all. I was in an elevator for too long one time. I told a stranger, I was like, listen, I want you to call this number. This is my mama, all right? In case I don't make it out, I want you to... We were stuck between floors 1 and 2. Who knows though, that drop could have shook me up. No, but I'm amazed. I think, man, I look around and I'm just blown away. You know, it's there's something very special about being here, which is a reminder that obviously there's more of a commercial presence than there was probably 10 years ago, especially more than there was 30 years ago and everything. But really, when you get here, everything that is so beautiful about being here just requires nothing. It just requires you to be present. There's no, when you look around, there's no amount of money that makes this thing happen. This is just what we've already been given, you know? And especially when you see it in people who appreciate it, it's a reminder that money can buy a comfortable life. It can't buy a good one. You know, I look around. I look around and I try to watch as best as I can and try to be observant. So I know that there's problems and there's people who are struggling and everything, but everything that makes this place special, everything that makes the people special, everything that makes the experiences here unique are things that cannot be bought under any circumstance. You could pay for a nice room somewhere. You could pay for a private cabana. You could do all that stuff. But the actual sunset, the actual sunrise, the people that you meet if you go out and you talk to people, the sort of way of thinking, that entire lifestyle, it costs nothing. It only requires that you be here, that you be present for it, you know? Every beautiful thing, every unconventional thing, it's there's nothing you can take away from it. No matter how much money you acquire, there's nothing that can prepare you for the natural beauty, not just of a place, but of a people and all the things that surprise you when you're really present somewhere, you know? Like the fact that the rooster's just gonna go whenever. It's that's insane. That's insane, because I think people come here and they think that it works the way it works in other places. There are places you can go all over the U.S. There are places you can go all over the world where that place is as good to be in as the amount of money you have. You know, you can travel all around the world and I can show you a terrible time in a city. I can show you a great time in the city based on what you can afford, right? And then you come here and it's already here. That blows my mind, you know? That's why I think so many people come here and so many people come here with a sort of expectation because maybe they've already spent the money. Maybe they've already dropped crazy money to have a true, beautiful Hawaiian experience. They're gonna have their minds blown. They're gonna see so many beautiful sights and everything. And then they get here and they see how much of it was just already here. It's just in the people. It's just in the routes you take to get somewhere. It's just in noticing, you know? And then they leave. And that's why when they leave, they're like, oh, I could have done this oh no. What did I do?